Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video to do my Code Geass Rozé of the Recapture English dub episode 12 review. And all I'm going to just say early on is this episode, the final episode that we think of Rozé of the Recapture, I just want to say this right now. This episode, this singular episode, has completely changed my opinion on the overall series now. I'm just going to say it right now. This episode was dog shit. I'm going to say it. It was a horrible ending. It was a rushed ending. And there are no excuses for it. I did not think the series was a bad series. Now, I have seen a lot of YouTubers that have done reviews and have given it shit. I, myself, didn't see it that way. I thought the series was doing very well. I thought the cameos were balanced out. I thought the way they were focusing mostly on the new characters, I thought were balanced out very well. However, after this episode, I think my opinion has completely changed because this episode was completely rushed. The ending was horrible. Everything about this episode made no sense. And it just felt like the writers just decided to take a dump and just not really care about the ending. That's what it really felt like. Like, some of the stuff just did not make sense with this final episode. So the first episode, we see we see within the first couple of seconds of this episode, we see like sceneries, like buildings and stuff like that. We see civilians running away. We see, all these Norland, pod things putting out the smoke stuff, the pink smoke stuff and whatnot. Right? We see all that. And then within seconds, we finally get to see Colin. Colin Kosuke, is at the battle and, is right on the front lines. Right? We finally get to see that. She has her big moment. And then after that, that's it. That's all we get to see of Colin. That's all we get to see of Colin for the rest of the episode. She never appears again in the episode. And I'm not exaggerating that. That's all we get to see. I'm happy that they obviously brought back the English voice actor. Obviously, they did that for every returning characters. But that was all we got. And we'll get more to this later on about Colin, which again, we'll get more to Colin later in the episode because again, it will go into my frustration on how this ending doesn't make sense and how everything just doesn't work. So again, we're going to get into my first problem, obviously, is the Colin cameo. Now, obviously, in the past few reviews, I had said that, where's Colin? Why isn't she helping out in the battle? Why aren't we seeing her? Like, she should be the one that should be on the front lines because she obviously, wants to protect Japan. So it makes the most sense that she would care more than all these other people that had cameoed. But yet, Colin wasn't in any of these previous episodes. They finally show her fighting in the battle briefly again, and it was cool getting to see the Gurren Mark II again. I'm not going to lie, obviously. We see her battling people, and it's great. She's got like a new look too, a new outfit and whatnot, which is great, but that's it. That's all we see her. And then after that, we don't see her again. This scene just feels very, very rushed. It feels like, oh shit. It feels like the writers were like, oh shit, out of all these cameos, we forgot to include Colin, so now we're going to include her briefly in this battle because at the beginning of the episode, because everything else is going to focus on the main characters. So we're going to show her at the beginning of the episode and then we're never going to show her again. And that's what they did. So yeah, it was not good. Obviously then we see, we see Cornelia, we see Black Knight people talking about what they have to do, the battle and whatnot, to kind of save everybody because Norlin is obviously doing what he's doing. And meanwhile, we also see where Ash Phoenix is, like he's falling down because he lost all his energy and whatnot. Sakuya saves him. They go back to like a base to like really kind of talk what they're gonna do, their next strategies are. And basically Ash like eventually pulls off her wig and basically tells her to use the Geass on him to serve her or whatever. And so that's what she does. She doesn't want to do it, but she does. And so she becomes his knight and serves to take out Norlin. My first thought to this whole thing is why didn't Sakuya tell him why didn't this again is the first problem. Why didn't Sakuya use her Geass to say, be my knight, but you must live, and to protect me from Norlin? If she had put the Geass and said, live, then we wouldn't have the problem that comes up later. But she doesn't do this. Of course, she doesn't do this. So the Geass was basically to be a knight for her, but also to protect her and from Norlin, and prevent Norlin from doing what she's doing or what he's doing. And so that's what ends up happening. They end up like using that, and then they go back to the battle, and they're basically fighting off Norlin. And they fight off Norlin, and the battle, they do the strategies. It looks like they're not going to win because Norlin, kind of, knocks out Sakuya during the battle, but she kind of blacks out for a little bit, but gets back up. And then they go back into the battle after she kind of was a little scared, it appears, from it. And then after that, they go back, and Ash then takes out Norlin with pretty much kind of next to no difficulties. Yes, Norlin, the guy who has all these resources with this nightmare frame that he has, was just easily taken out after it appeared they almost were defeated. Somehow. Again, really with next to no real reason. They just kind of did it. And again, it felt like a rushed, finished battle. There was like no like build up or anything to them, winning, the battle. It was just kind of like, okay, we're just going to do a charged up attack here. We're just going to switch things up in our nightmare frame and then just go head first, and that will win it. And that's what they did. That took out Norlin. And then from there, they, after that happened, basically, what they did next was, not what they did next, but what Ash did next was break away from Sakuya's nightmare, and because their nightmares were together, and this is what led to Ash basically sacrificing himself and finishing off Norlin to make sure he was like dead. Basically, that's basically what happened. Yeah, the lasers, right? The lasers that like are supposed to be able to take Nightmare Frame's energies out somehow was missed. Even though in the last episode we literally seen Ash try to do the same thing, and it ultimately failed because he had lasers being shot everywhere in his Nightmare Frame. Somehow it doesn't work in this episode. And Ash, with Sakuya's help, was able to win. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. During this, they do show some flashbacks of Ash as a kid, with the orphanage with his brother, and they also show the unfortunate hardships and deaths that he had with his brother, and then they basically show Norlin getting stabbed with the Nightmare Frame from Ash, which basically takes him out. And then basically from there, we basically see Ash get away from Sakuya, and basically then he sacrifices himself to take him out. And that is the end of Norlin, and that is the end of Ash. Ash sacrifices himself to officially finish off Norlin and make sure there's no chance of him being able to do anything else. And there's so many problems with that. I mean, first of all, I don't like the idea that they didn't really get a happy ending, especially the way it was kind of being built throughout the series. But on top of that, you know, Sakuya was obviously crying. But on top of that, my biggest issue with this was if Colin was at the front line in this episode, then why the hell did Colin not try to take out Norlin? Colin is obviously more skilled than Ash Phoenix. I'm sure we all Code Geass fans agree that Colin Kosuke is far greater of a pilot than Ash Phoenix and Sakuya Sumeragi combined. So why didn't Colin fight off Norlin? Obviously, she knew Norlin was around. Like, why didn't the OG characters try to take out Norlin? Like, again, this is a problem because we already seen in the previous episode that Ash couldn't defeat Norlin. So why didn't the Black Knights try to use Colin to do it? The ace, the actual ace. Not Black Cat, who was defeated by Catherine, right? You know, so like, why, if Colin was at the front line, why didn't she sacrifice? Again, this was again proven to why the writers the writers clearly waved the white flag on this episode. They really did, because this made next to no goddamn sense to why, if Colin was actually there, you know, on the front line, why wouldn't she go after Norlin? You know, if Norlin was this much of a world threat, Colin should have done it. Not two amateurs that literally lost battles prior to this. Okay? It made no sense, dude. Like, I was just like, nah, like... And again, like... Sakuya really screwed up with the Geass ability on this as well, as I said. Now again, we got statements from the Black Knight, Kagura, Cornelia. They also showed, because again, a couple months later, we do see Norlin, who's now running the orphanage. Catherine's there. She wants to get a job there. We see statements from Kagura talking about, how the Empress is taking over. The real Empress, Sakuya, the real Empress, not the, Sakura, not the real Empress, right? She's taking over, but right before she takes over, we also see some of the resistance, the Japanese resistance group, like joining, right? The maintenance kid was joining, and then we also see some of the other resistance just drinking some beer or whatever, since they don't really have to do anything anymore. But a lot of other people have joined the Black Knights according to them, right? But then we basically see Sakuya now basically use the Geass on herself. So, like, she uses the mirror to use Geass on herself to basically prevent her from using the Geass again, but also preventing her from speaking again, which I didn't get that at all. Like, I was like, wait, well, why is she using the Geass so she can't talk anymore? Like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, what? I mean, I know she was so burdened by the Geass. She was burdened by the Geass, but why can't she speak? Like, why is she giving herself a way to not speak when she's, like, supposed to be the Empress, right? Or whatever. Like, that, I don't know. Someone's going to come up with a reason. Someone's going to probably comment, like, the reason, but I just, there's really no justification for this. Of why she can't speak. Like, that was just, I don't get it, man. Like, but also, again, her, her not wanting to use, she could have just said that she just doesn't want to use the Geass anymore and not, like, have herself not speak anymore, or still have herself speak. So, yeah, I didn't get this. We see her then, after using the Geass on herself, she goes to the crowd as she's being introduced as the new Empress, and whatnot. So there was that at the end, and then, of course, there was the post-credit scene, which basically talked about her, like, speaking in her mind. She's basically saying, as she's sitting with Sakura, the disguised Empress, and Natalia. She has cats surrounded around her, the cats that she had with Ash, and she basically says that because of you, we're able to live freely now and whatnot. And that was the ending. I didn't like I said at the beginning of this review, if you liked the episode, that's cool. I hated the episode. I thought the whole episode was rushed. I was not satisfied with the ending at all. I felt like the ending was a terrible way of doing the ending. There were a billion different ways they could have done it despite the episode being rushed. Like I said, why did Ash have to sacrifice himself? Why couldn't Sakura just have a happy ending with Ash? They clearly were, they clearly were teasing that the whole time. I guess Sakura is just supposed to live, like, miserable the rest of her life, which is basically what they did, because now she can't speak. By the way, again, as I said, her not being allowed to use the Geass ability by using the Geass on herself does not mean that she had to say that she couldn't speak anymore. She could have just literally planted the Geass on her to prevent her from not using the Geass ever again. That's all she had to do. And it wouldn't have mattered if she had been able to speak. So again, this makes no sense. And also, again, it goes back to Ash's sacrifice, because Ash didn't need to sacrifice himself. Because again, why were they the ones that defeated Norland? That's like, Collins was at the front line. Why didn't Colin do it? Why? Because because Colin isn't the main character of this series. So we have to have Ash be the one that does it, even though we all know, if you've watched all the Code Geass series or movies and whatnot, if you watched everything of Code Geass, you would know already that Colin is stronger than Ash Phoenix and Sakuya Sumeragi combined. Okay, in skills for a nightmare frame. Okay. She's better than Haiko. Okay. Haiko couldn't even win a battle. Okay. In the series, despite the fact that they were presenting her as somebody who was basically the new ace for this new Japanese resistance group, right? Like Colin, only Colin was actually better, stronger, and more skillful. And she could actually win battles. So again, this is where I just don't understand where they were going with the series. Well, at least with this episode, not so much the series. I knew where they were going with the series. Well, at least for the first 10 episodes, I would say, until they screwed everything up towards the end of episode 11, and then into this entire final episode. This episode was, in my opinion, a rushed ending. I'm sure some might disagree, but to me, I don't know what everyone's feedback is so far on this. I haven't seen anyone else's reviews or opinions on this. I can only really speak for my opinion. But I didn't like it. And that's all I'm going to say about this ending. Will they continue this series? I have no idea. Honestly, if they're going to do another Code Geass series, they probably should just use a different main character at this point, because I guess Sakuya's story is pretty much dead at this point, because she can't talk and she can't use the Geass anymore. Unless they have some Geass canceller that happens, like they get some new villain, unless they have some new villain that comes in, I just don't see it. Also, they did have the they also had the bartender in the last season too, last scene as well. But that was about it. Those were only the 4 people that they had around. Oh, and then also there'll be the whole. I should also, because Kagura did mention, she mentioned that that they were gonna have the Black Knight, or the UFN was gonna be basically running the whole, like, Japanese and areas and stuff like that too. But yeah, I mean, just a really rushed, sad ending to a series that I thought was very good. A lot of people were not giving it that much respect because of a lot of the unnecessary fan service that was going on. But I did like the overall plot, and I did think I thought the series had potential. But after this final episode, I don't see it anymore. It just felt like either they didn't know what they wanted to do in the end, or they just didn't care. There's only 2 things that could have happened for this final episode. Is they either didn't really have an ending planned, and they just rushed something through because of the episode counts that they had to fulfill, or they just didn't know what they wanted to do, and they just kind of did this. And this is not a good conclusion. This is a very disappointing conclusion, and I did not like it. That's all I'm going to say. I did not like it. I can't say it any more than I've said in this review. I did not like the ending. I am really curious to what other people's opinions on this, and if you guys think they will follow up on this with another series, or if you think they'll just do something completely different. Personally, I think they should do something completely different because, or maybe just go back to the original characters, the OG characters at this point, because, I mean, obviously the new characters, they just didn't really, respect it enough based on that ending. So that's where I take it. Let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate if you like this video, my videos. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for the latest contents. And that's about it. I am the Ultimate Goku, and I'm here. Peace. Also, make sure, besides my YouTube channel, I got the Twitch, the Instagram, and the Discord link where we discuss various topics, including Code Geass itself and other things. So I do have a YouTube tier list membership. If you're interested in that, go check that out. And yeah, that's it. I'm out. Peace.